And there we are. Hey, good evening, everybody. We'll see how we do here with the Super Bowl Sunday edition of the Holly and Rich show.
Yep.
Hey, Lisa.
Don.
Yeah, Yogi Hollow. Don, I did turn some seeds around to you, so hopefully your mail person will be bringing a little package of love for you. And saw your freezer. I want to be seeing you fill up that freezer soon. That'll be fun. We'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here. I don't know what attendance is going to be tonight. Boy, this is going to be a wild card. Your town looks deserted.
There's places that normally would have stayed open a little later here, but don't get a lot of Super Bowl traffic just because of their time, that shut early.
Yeah, who knows? I'm not a big NFL fan. Holly, somewhat. We're big soccer supporters, so
just got tired of how long it takes them to play an actual 60-minute game.
I was looking at about 45 minutes ago or so. There was 15 minutes left, or 14 minutes left, and I just looked, and I think the half just ended. So that's going to be our competition right now. Is going to be the halftime show. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Holly's going to get up and sing and dance a little bit, just to. I don't know what everybody else is experiencing, but our weather, and you got to put it in context. Our weather, it was 38 today with no wind. Sun was out.
Yep. Oh, the girls were loving it. I
was loving it.
Created a path down to the compost pile so we could keep adding to it over the winter, and they were all up and down that pathway. It's in the sun, and some of the grass was starting to show through. Oh, and they're picking that clean. Oh my God, we're gonna have some. We're gonna have some mud. It's gonna be mud bog. So, who knows? Yeah. Hi, Patrick. Welcome aboard. Yeah, Matt and Robin are here too.
Yep. Thank you for stopping in. I gotta keep watching.
Lisa's people are too drunk to watch by now.
Watch us or the Super Bowl. We'll see. That's what Holly brought in some of our homemade Bloody Mary mix, and it's a virgin bloody.
Yeah. But it's good.
Like, oh my, I'm going no Pepsi during the month, so got my water ready here. So oh my gosh. Patrick, welcome. I don't remember if you've been in here before, but thanks for joining us. Good to have you along. We're gonna have 2 or 3 or 4 people joining us here in just a bit. So, Lisa, I do see you down below, but we've got a few other people hopefully joining us, so we can go through $50 February. And it's been interesting. It's been a lot of fun. Before we do that, you know what? If people on each video, we put a link to our Etsy store. If you're looking for funky chicken shirts, and Holly's wearing our Pets with Benefits chickens shirt. That's out there. We're putting some other things out, and it'll be a little bit fun. It's hard to link them, I guess, into YouTube like others do, because I don't know if YouTube and Etsy are doing a little bit of that, but that's all right. We'll make it all work. We have had just incredible, like I was saying, 38 degrees today, but just the weather's been so nice. Looks like
Lisa says she's had 45 to 50s.
Oh, geez. Yeah, way to one up me.
No, it's been nice. The sun has been out, which warms things up, which makes it warmer for the girls in the pole barn.
We just got to get rid of 2 feet of snow. That's the hard thing. I've got this path cleared. It's probably 4 feet wide, something like that. And it's going to be complete mud. I know that because they're going to pick any grass shoot they see down to nothing.
I would say almost at this point, we should probably layer it with straw.
Yeah, then then it turns into concrete later.
Yeah, but then the girls aren't going to eat all the.
They'll eat it. They'll scratch down to it.
Yeah.
So let's see, Alicia, Farm Fresh, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let me get Lisa's taunting off the screen there. yeah, we just need, I think there's a chance of rain on Tuesday.
Yep.
But to get rid of 2 feet of snow, it's going to take quite a bit.
Yeah, that's where the last couple of days have been nice. Even with a slight little breeze, the sun has been warming it up and the breeze has been
Slowly
blowing it
going.
away.
But we are heading into our snowiest time of the year. I got to remember, it is mid-February.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, the end of the season. It is my mind. You know what? In Minnesota, as soon as you hit the first days like this, where it's 38, and
Yep.
if you're down south, you are laughing at me. But as soon as you hit that, that winter could end and spring could be coming, and you get all excited. But in the back of my head, I know I've got 6 weeks of
Thursday night again. We're supposed to be down to 0.
Yeah, so it's
yeah.
I don't know. And Gunsmoke,
Yeah.
you guys are even further north. So what? Oh,
Yeah, we'll do that.
I'd trade in a heartbeat, Lisa. I would trade in a heartbeat. So let's see. Plowman's Backyard. Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, you're coming over from Hickory Croft Farms.
Welcome.
Thank you. If you want to post your name down there, just so we don't call you Plowman's Backyard all the time. Thanks for coming over from the other live, or they just posted.
Yeah.
And then Judy, hello, welcome. Did I click on that? I didn't. There we go. My clicker's not clicking tonight. We'll get everybody up here in just a couple minutes. I hope. Wait, they've been warmer than us. How do you get in the 40s and you're farther north than us? What?
It can happen.
That's not supposed to.
Occasionally, it happens.
If they're in the 40s, darn it, I want 50. Shoot. Well, good for you. That'll get things. I'm just itching to get out.
The first.
I did a start of a clean out and just did a little video just to kind of show what I was removing. But I removed some of the droppings from the girls underneath the roofs today. So there'll be an upcoming video on that. But boy, there's a lot of stuff, and it's frozen down below. I mean, that stuff is cooking up on top, but then down below the ground is frozen still in the pole barn. So really good. Hey, Gary, Miss Betty is on. Welcome. Whoops, I keep clicking the wrong one. Where am I? How am I doing that?
Oh,
there you go. Hey, Gary.
So
did I miss someone?
Backyard is Kendra. Welcome. Good to catch that.
Make a note. We'll try to remember. I'm so bad with names. That's just the worst.
And Lisa's been out looking for sheds again. Shed antlers.
Our friends that we hung out with, we saw them last night. Bunch of deer in their backyard.
Yeah.
We went over and had a beer tasting and some great food and a fun little party and some of that. They had all sorts of deer. Our friend throws out corn. They get pheasants and turkeys and deer, but they found a really nice 5-point.
5-point. Yep. Just one side, but 5-point.
One side of the shed. So that was cool. That was a good sized shed. So hopefully, Lisa, you're finding some. I know there's some other people that I watch that are out looking for sheds. And I want to say in Utah, they put a moratorium on things that they couldn't find sheds until May 1st or something like that. So I'm just trying to figure out what that does. No one's eating that or something. Did I see Marlene's in here?
Yeah.
See if I can click on that. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Joanne, welcome. Hi from Saskatchewan. Perfect. We haven't had anybody checking in from Saskatchewan, so thank you. Welcome aboard. I'm not sure if this is your first time in, Joanne, but thanks for joining us. We got a full Canadian connection tonight, so that's good. Yeah. Oh, geez. Here you go, Judy. Yep. That's our high. We were feeling good about 30, 37, 38 today. You're going to 60. Wow. Yeah, Dawn, I bet you've got all sorts of area for looking for sheds and some of that. It's illegal to take dead heads. Okay. If the shed is the shed, you can take it. but if the skull is still attached, you can't grab it. Is that what the rule is?
Yep.
That's an interesting.
Oh, and we got Buttercup and Fern here who came over from Hickory Croft as well. Thank you.
Oh,
welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
I don't know if your name's Fern and your real name's Buttercup, but it reminds me of Princess Bride. But if not, throw your names down there. We'd love to have it just so we call you the right thing. And
and Lori's here. Hello.
Hi, Lori. Good evening. And I see the Hickory Croft clan. Stand by just 1 second. We'll
get everybody on
here. Get everybody on here. Did I miss anybody else? Did I say hi to Judy before? I think I did. Okay.
Yep.
If I miss you, throw up your hand again and say, "Hey, Rich, how about me?" Let's see. Got things bought first things this week at the grocery store. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna get into shopping and what's working, what's not. This has been an interesting challenge. I was trying to think of the right word.
Okay.
On a huge set of antlers attached.
Oh.
Okay, so you can't take a dead head. You got to let that go. But if it's just, okay, if it's just the antlers, okay, yeah, there you go. Thanks, Judy, keeping me honest here. We're waiting for, I know one more for sure, and Lisa from over at the Bees and Seeds was going to join us hopefully, but she was going to be coming from work, and Matt and Sarah from over at Matt and Sarah. We're tentative. Just they got a lot of kid things going on Sunday night, so we'll do that. Trying to think of what else we got to catch up on. What else is going on with us? Nothing. Yeah, we're bored. No, I've been staring at the garden. Like, can the snow? Can you go away? We've been doing a lot of other things, hobby wise, and Holly's still working on several blankets and all sorts of stuff. Okay, there you go. Let's see. Karen is Dan. Okay, Karen and Dan. Well, welcome. Hey, thanks for coming over. It's nice, Steph and Chris, for putting the plug out to get everybody on here. That's awesome. So thank you. Yeah, that's right. Gary, you've got the half hour change and you're a few time zones behind us. So I don't. You're the half hour guy. Why don't we? Let me bring up a couple here and get things going, and then you know what? Let me put that on. We should just tell quickly about us. We're in Minnesota. We're probably 45 minutes southwest of Minneapolis, the metro area. So we're out on a little 3-acre homestead here, little small dot on the map town. But we're Minnesotan, so Minnesota. You'll hear all the accents and all that, and we'll talk about snow a lot, even in April. So hopefully that doesn't scare you away. But let me add. I'm just got to make sure I do it right. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Let me make sure I've got the volume up. Usually we don't have our volume up.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can.
Hey, Holly.
Hey, Lisa.
And then Steph and Chris, there you go.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us all right? You're doing all right?
Yep, it's perfect.
I'm still new. We've done these for what, 6 months now or 7 months? And I don't know. It's good to have our mentor on, Lisa, whenever we get into these big combination platters. So, I don't know. Matt and Sarah said they've got kid stuff, so hopefully they're going to come, but not sure. And then Lisa was going to be doing some things from Bees and Seeds. Why don't we start? Lisa, why don't you start and then send it over to Steph and Chris. Just give a overview about your channel, where you're located, just what you're up to.
We are, my channel is Yogi Hollow Farm, and we are located in the southern Black Hills of South Dakota. So we have 2 acres and we've turned it into a farm. So we work a lot on thrifty DIY, making efficient use of land on our channel. And one of the things was last year we had over 80 animals on the farm. A lot of birds, obviously, game birds and poultry and stuff, but we raise all of our own meat. The only thing we don't raise is beef because we do not have land to have a cow. And we sort of outsource some salmon that we love to have to a bulk order place. But other than that, all of our meat is raised here on our 2 acres. Where we struggle for $50 February. Did you want me to get into that or not yet?
No. Hey, just give an overview of your channel. We're not getting into struggle. We got to talk positive first before we do struggle.
let's start with the good, not the bad. No.
Okay.
Throw the sales pitch on a little bit. Then we're going to hit you with reality.
Yeah. And so we do some freeze drying and things like that. Basically our channel is about our journey and also in the process sharing reality. For example, when we garden, and you'll learn more about that soon, it's not as easy as most. So yeah. I'll leave it at that. But on to you guys.
Oh, you want to start?
No, you can start.
And it's good to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you guys too. Good to see everybody tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm Chris, and this is Stephanie, and we're Hickory Croft Farm. So we are in Ontario, Canada, Eastern Ontario, so very close to the St. Lawrence River. What else?
Oh, come on. How do you describe us?
Oh, I'm terrible at describing things. We have, so kind of right before we started YouTube, we moved to a 38-acre property, and that's where we're homesteading now. We've been doing this for a long time, relatively speaking.
Yeah, we're going on 15 years now.
Yep, in a different
15 years
place,
at this.
but
15 years at this property, or
No.
15 years? Okay.
15 years total, and 3 years. This is the third year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this will be the third full year here, and
Kind of been there, done that, played around with everything you could imagine to try it. And now I think we're finally to that point where it's figured out a little bit. Not that you ever actually get there, but narrowed down to what we think is going to work. And boy, oh boy, I will tell you, just as Lisa said, this $50 February is teaching us we might not be there yet.
Well, and that's part of the reason to do it. So
Oh, it's perfect.
The fall downs are as important as the successes. Matt and Sarah just joined us. Before we jump to them, Gwen over at Broke Cowgirl Homestead, welcome. We had let's see, Drunken Chefs in the house. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Let's see, Abdullah, I saw you jumped in. Thanks. I am not wearing the same shirt as Holly. The shirt I got, it's kind of funny. We got some chicken shirts as gifts one year, and she got the pink one and I got the blue one as gifts. We went out and ordered on our site. I ended up with the pink one and she ended up with the blue one. So we're absolute opposites. And then Jennifer, Northern Girl Hobbies, I saw. Did I miss anybody else?
Gardening Warrior Q.
Gardening Warrior Q. Trying to think of I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. I don't know. But
V.
was it?
V.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Matt and Sarah, thanks for joining us. We're just doing introductions on your channel. Maybe you want to give a little overview of your channel. You guys are, well, they're so far away from us, but I'll let them explain. Tell us about your channel.
Well, we don't do videos. We don't do much of anything around the house. I don't know. Basically the same thing everyone else does, huh?
Yeah.
Like to garden a little bit, and we got chickens and pigs.
Matt and Sarah are probably 12 miles from us, if that. But yeah, chickens, pigs, huge garden, bees, a big greenhouse. I mean, you're like 7 by 24, 365 gardening in Minnesota, which is pretty rare. So, well, we'll see if Lisa jumps in and joins us. Wanted to kind of, well, like I said, we'll put the sales pitch on a little bit, but the $50 February, just for those who are watching that might not, I don't want to say they're the rules, but the object is to raise your food, see what it's a good test. Like Stephanie said, it's a good test of what you've been doing for your self-sufficiency. What can you grow? What can you raise? The animals, what can you trade? Early on, I think it was Bland's Promised Land Ranch was talking about the community and being a part of the community locally. You know, Matt and Sarah helped us last year. They let us join them for raising chickens, meat birds. And so we had never done that before. And without their past knowledge and all that, we never could have done that. So that really aided our $50 February. So that the community piece. So maybe, I don't know, since I'm already yapping, it's been so far pretty successful. In our mind, the key to the game has been variety.
Yep.
If I had to eat eggs all day, every day, which we could with all our girls, we could survive. Would it be fun? No. So it's been good to have a variety of foods. The chickens that Matt and Sarah had, stuffed peppers.
Yep, the pork and the beef that we
Traded for.
And then all the squash that we've had and just different things even over the last couple of years, what we've put up. So like one night we had spaghetti squash with turned the ground pork into Italian sausage and then pulled up some of my cherry tomato sauce from 2 years ago.
So we've been really good. We've been lucky that we like what we put away. And today we finally went to the store. I needed some milk. I needed milk. So we don't have access to a cow. Like Lisa said, we don't have room here. We got 3 acres. We don't have room for a cow. And we don't have anybody locally to trade with. And I'm dying for a Pepsi. I was really hankering for milk.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got milk. And what else did we get? You got something else?
Yeah.
Okay. We got
carrots.
Carrots. So
Yep,
we spent
we'd already gone
$550.
through.
So we're $550 after 12 days. So pretty good. But the rule was to spend $50 for a couple. If you've got children, add $25 per child on top of that. So there's some additional, you know what, Lisa just joined us. So we'll go around Lisa, how are you? Can you hear us all right?
I can. Can you hear me?
You're perfect. Why don't you give a little overview of your channel? Then we're kind of going around the horn talking about the good side of $50 February. Then we're going to talk challenges.
Okay. So my channel is basically gardening. Is that what you mean? Like what it's mostly?
Yeah.
It's mostly gardening. Yeah.
And you have you got gardens at home and at a school you work at, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot and there's times when Lisa if you're watching one of Lisa's videos, she'll be like, well, I'm going to go harvest zucchini. And it'll be like 400 pounds of it. I mean, you've had some harvests that have been way over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. That was an oops that turned into a good thing.
That can always be good for February. Well, thanks for joining us, Lisa. You've got everybody's got a different take on this challenge, which is fun after watching people's videos. We'll go around the horn. Hopefully everybody's seeing the same screen we are. But Lisa, Yogi Hollow, what's been the positive and the keys to success so far?
If it was just me, it would be very easy because I could eat fried egg sandwiches for 30 days.
Yeah.
I could eat a hamburger with no vegetables and I would be just fine. My husband loves to have 3 items on his plate.
Well,
And he busts his rear working, so he's getting it. But so really that's the challenge because I could sit down and I could cook a whole chicken that we've raised here on the farm and I could survive on that. We have all the protein that we need. It's the vegetables and obviously dairy, grains, and vegetables are things that we don't have. So when you go by the rules of the challenge, we'll be over it. And we knew we would be. However, we not necessarily have bought at the store this month, if that makes sense. We have that all in our pantry because we always make sure that we have X number of months of food at home at all times.
Okay.
I don't care to say how long, but we always have food. So we've been eating right out of our pantry. But, again, I think that we've been doing this since 2020. And for us, the fact that we're raising all of our meat was a huge thing for us. And this year we're moving more towards the farm business because we know that, the produce side of it is going to be more challenging because of our weather. We have such a short season to grow. But, been making bread and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is how we normally live, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So like we may have an 8-pound Cornish cross that we've raised, and I make that for dinner, or I cut it apart and make half of it for dinner, and the next night we have it for dinner, or we're making lunches out of it. So I think that living the thrifty lifestyle is something we've always done. But I know for Ryan, it would be not having the variety would bother him.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, really my biggest thing is I could eat fried egg sandwiches all the time, but my stomach doesn't always like them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Have you-
kind of been where we're at.
Have you broke into the pheasants yet?
We had roast pheasant for dinner tonight.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, and we were real impressed that pheasants are a game bird, and so sometimes you have to watch for that gamey flavor. And so Ryan has this game cookbook that I bought him, and he made a couple of dishes. One of them was a jambalaya that was really good. But I really just wanted like the roasted meat kind of thing, put it on the smoker, cook it in the oven. And he did that tonight, and it actually was amazing. And you didn't have to clean any buckshot out of it.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I don't know if it's within the rules to just invite children to come stay with you just for the extra grocery.
Yeah.
Well,
I
maybe
think-
have a-
I
maybe
think
have a sunset next year.
I think the biggest thing I can tell you that I won't go without is I won't go without half and half, and I'm not going without cheese.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And bartering, like you guys have talked about bartering, I've not been successful at all. I have actually tried to barter with several farms, and they want money. They don't want anything that I have. They want money. So
I think it's finding the right person or someone that will, who has a skill that you've got a skill they don't have. And, that's where,
Mhm.
thank Matt and Sarah. I mean, we just didn't know how to raise them. Had never done it, had never butchered them. So that was just a godsend that they kind of entered the picture and said, sure, come on over. So it worked out well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the other thing is even bartering because obviously we're in, the beef part of the world, not necessarily dairy, but I've been trying to get a hold of some fresh dairy, raw milk. No one will part with it.
Yeah. Holly found a website, and I've contacted several people, and oh yeah, you can come buy it. Well, yeah, like you said, and you just got to find the right person. We just got to find someone with a cow that's down the road that we don't know yet. So
yeah. I've asked about 3 or 4 private owners, and they said they won't even sell it.
wow.
It's crazy.
Well, we'll find let's see, there's a couple others that just joined us. Glenda over at Grace and Fire, and I think it was Ellie I saw jump in here. Trying to see it. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Stephanie, Chris, what's been working for you guys? You've really been able to, at least on the video, shake it up a lot and keep some fun recipes going.
Well, I think this has been a fantastic because we did the January pantry challenge first, which kind of worked us in because we could use stuff that we bought from the store as long as it was out of the pantry. So that sort of got us into the groove of eating from home and not thinking about, oh, let's just go to the grocery store and pick up this for dinner or that for dinner. So that got us the lead in. And then $50 February hit where we had to still kind of pay attention to what we were taking out of the pantry that was store-bought. And that's been wonderful, I think, because it's really made us aware of the stuff that we're not producing. But it also...
It's quantified it.
Yeah.
Because we keep records, and Yeah, we keep a lot of records of things.
I have to admit, I loved when I watched Lisa at Bees and Knees, your video at the end where you said about the numbers, because we're number people. We track everything. We write it all down. We multiply it, divide it, and figure out what works best. So it was great for that. But it really has kind of got us thinking a lot. And I think that's the best part about this challenge, in my mind anyways. And the thing that has helped us the most is really making us question what we are doing on the farm and what we need to think about.
Going into it, we kind of know what the shortfalls are. It's that same thing. Dairy, although for us that was self-imposed, and there's a story to it, and we're hoping to rectify that one. Grains is a huge one, and this is making us, in conjunction with some potential health things too, looking at maybe changing the diet to close those loops where you maybe actually cut some of these things out to a degree. Still have the diversity, but I think we have this. I'm going to say it this way: we have the same issue with sort of the local community. There's not really any. There's
no one to
trade with, for lack of a better way to put it. So, because we've been doing this for so long, we tend to have this mindset, which maybe goes into a prepping mindset, sort of well, we'll just sort of be self-sufficient.
We kind of have a mindset of being an island, which is negative in some ways, but it's very hard. We're finding, well, the dairy, like you were saying, here they can't even sell you raw dairy. So finding it, they can't even give it to you. So finding dairy from somebody is impossible. So either you have to do it yourself or you have to buy it from the store. And then you've got that, the knock on of just, it seems like we've met wonderful people, but they're 2 hours down the road or 3 hours down the road. And it's not logistically a trading partner kind of thing. They don't see it on a day-to-day basis that, oh, this is somebody that does it this way and I want to trade with that person, right? Same thing like Lisa was saying there. It's no, I'll just take the money and I'll go buy from my person over here, which is fine. That's how it works, but it does make you almost an island.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep. And we had some people that maybe hadn't been in. The thought was to be self-sufficient and grow, raise, trade, fish, hunt, everything, not to load up your pantry on January 31st full of store-bought goods and then clean out your pantry during the month. So that's kind of where this all started, was just a good exercise. It really came from the Cow Emporium, Glenn and Annette up there. Hoping to have them on the next live. They're very, I don't know if regimented is the right word, but they're very strict on, they follow this, and really it's a good test for them, where we're trying to be strict. And it's so far we have been strict. I mean, I'd love to go out and sneak a Pepsi, but I've been like, darn it, I'm sticking to this thing. So
the Pepsi's really hard.
Oh,
you could wave a Coke in front of me and I'm like, no, it's fine. But when I walk by the Pepsi aisle, it's just like, oh.
I was dying. And we went to friends for a party last night and they're like, well, we got a soda in the basement. So I ran down to the basement with her and she's like, and I looked and it was all diet. I'm like, I've come this far. I'm good now. So, but let's go to Lisa, B's and C's. Lisa, you are very regimented. You are down to the penny. And you measure things like Stephanie and Chris were saying, they're measuring. You are really, it's fun to watch you because of how, I want to use the word strict sometimes, but you are really measuring everything.
Well, sorry, I'm at my daughter's and she's got chicks in here. So if you hear tea, that's what's going on.
That's who it was. I heard a cheep, and I'm like, okay, who's got him?
Anyway, that's just, I think, my personality. I when I decided to do this challenge, I just thought, well, how cheap can I really be this month? Like, how much can I not put out on things? Or if I do use things, how much did it cost? So that's why I looked up how much does that oil cost, and then how much per ounce, how much per tablespoon. I just was curious to see how little I could get by on for a month. I don't eat dairy. I'm intolerant, so that's an easy one for me. And I eat very little animal products. But how I'm eating now is not how I normally eat. So that has been, I don't normally get up in the morning and make breakfast ever, except for the weekend. So for me, that's been the biggest challenge is actually, I usually eat chia pudding. You don't have to cook it. You just throw it in the stuff the night before, take it to work. So for me, the biggest has been actually making food that you cook from what you have. But this has been so good for me because I love to grow things. I'm horrible about using it. I usually give most of my stuff away. I mean, I grow way more than I could eat or my family could eat anyways. And another thing, I'm a single person. My children are grown. They would never eat the way I'm eating right now. Anyways, it's just too repetitive and not probably what they would like the best out of food options. So that if I had a family that I had to do this with, that would definitely be a harder challenge for sure.
A different wrinkle. Yep.
Yeah, it would.
That's what I was thinking. How would we change if we had younger kids? And maybe Steph and Chris have kids, Matt and Sarah have kids. You guys can talk to that. But Lisa, I did you have measured it down to, I'm not figuring in our oil. I'm not figuring in the salt and pepper. Some of that, you're getting it right down to the penny, which is really interesting to watch. Where we're taking, I guess, a lot more broader strokes. Otherwise, we are using some oil, a little butter. I'm not counting that in there, and that should probably be in the equation. You're getting it right down to the. And where are you at right now?
$2 and I don't know. I just posted my video today. I had it scheduled for this afternoon. I think it was $2.24 or something like that.
That's what I was thinking. It said too. I just saw it right before we went live. I watched your video. So yeah, I think 224. So that's incredible. And it looks like you've had variety.
Somewhat. I feel like I've been kind of eating the same thing a lot, but it doesn't bother me. It's normal for me to make a dinner, like a big pot of something for the whole week and eat that. I know some people like to eat something different every day, but I'm just so busy that I really don't like to put the time into. I don't enjoy cooking food. I just don't. So
it is more time because it's so easy. Holly comes home from work and, hey, what do we want? Oh, let's just throw in a pizza. You know what? Boy, is that easy. And you don't have any of that fallback this month. So
just trying to be a little more conscious ahead of time and pulling things out of the freezer and
thawing it out and saying, what are we having with it? And go ahead, Lisa, you had something to jump in?
I was going to say that's where like those meals in a jar, whether you're dehydrating them or freeze drying them, having those in there are really helpful for things like this.
Yep.
Especially you guys, because you have like the tomatoes. You can take that base and dehydrate it or freeze dry it, whatever people do, and then put all that stuff right in a jar and then just add water.
Yep. Agreed. Heather at Sage and Stone Homestead, welcome. She's partaking in the challenge. Barb is on here. Barb's where's Barb? Barb's Country Home, and she's got a great video on Forever Soup, and it's on the stove, and every day it changes. She's had seafood in there, pork in there, beef in there. It's like every day it's a whole new. It's like that thing has had more lives than I've had, and it's unreal. So check out Barb's thing. That's been really fun to watch. So Matt and Sarah, you guys might have the most family members, that you're trying to make this work for. How's it been going with a family?
I like it.
I think it's going well, but kind of back to what other people were saying, we already do this, when you already do it, it's just doing it to a new extreme. And for me, I think we take a little different look at it because we have our budgeted amount normally weekly. So we already budget our grocery amount we're spending. And this is less than half of what we spend. So we do have more probably than some of you. But we're spending most of the budgeted amount because we don't want to get into a situation where we're not eating healthy or giving the kids good food options just because we only want to spend as little as we can. So I think there's so many ways you could interpret this, and I kind of like that.
And I like it because it's pushing me to, like, we have, we'll make our own frozen pizzas during our busy season. We'll have them in the freezer, but we'll always tend to, like, today we were a bunch of running around. Like, let's grab, we got to go home and make supper. And instead of grabbing a quick trip pizza that's already cooked and giving it to the kids and be done for the night, we came home and started taking out leftovers. We're like, oh, look, there's a quarter bag of chips over here and an eighth over here. Dump them together and let's make some nachos. Took out some canned chicken and threw it down there, So I like it, though. I like kind of doing that stuff.
You're being creative. I hate when you have some leftovers and then you end up throwing them out. That drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And we have used every scrap of everything that's been cooked so far this month.
Yep.
It's fun. It really is.
Well,
If you get one more person in here, this would be like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. I think we're limited at 5 guests or something. So I don't know. We'll work on Cougar Homestead is on Local Life Outdoors. Thank you. I thought someone had a question here in the it's for us, it seems like it's being creative and trying to use what you've got. I have a sweet tooth, and that's where that Pepsi thing, I keep bringing that up, but it's like last year I dehydrated a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes, and I've gone through a half a jar of these already. Just kind of chew on them as I'm at my desk, or I had a much larger jar that's dehydrated yellow watermelon. It is just, I'm sitting there eating candy. I'm getting my sugar feed that way. I'm just wondering, maybe Lisa, you can start again and we can go around, but what's been the big obstacles?
Me?
Matt's laughing. Yeah.
Well, I did want to say that somebody in the chat asked how many kids Matt and Sarah had, so I don't know if they want to answer that.
4. We got 4 kids. 4 gremlins.
And
I have
Stephen,
gremlins, but they're my
how many
pigs.
kids do you have at your house then? 2. Okay.
2.
Biggest obstacles, Ryan. Seriously. I love the man to death, but no, I mean, like I said, he has to keep his blood sugar up too. So part of that is being able to eat regularly. And Annette was talking about being sick of chicken and eggs. I love our chicken. If it was store chicken, I wouldn't be eating it, but I love our chicken. And I can just eat that in sourdough and eggs and be good to go. In fact, we laugh because when my son was younger, chicken's cheap, right?
Yeah.
He used to sit there and go, chicken again? And we were like, yeah, when you pay the bill, we can eat, steak every day of the week. But, I think that's the biggest obstacle is that. And I think also, like I said, just, we know the reality and we can't raise it all.
Holly made some soup, and I have been used to store-bought chicken, and now we're jumping in more to the chickens that Matt and Sarah raised. There's flavor there. That is just that soup had a flavor tonight that was totally different. So I agree with you on that.
Have you had any of the chickens roasted?
Yep, I've actually done a couple of them and spatchcocked them. So just lay them out flat and roast them for about 45 minutes to an hour, and they're amazing.
They're fantastic.
I will tell you one hint, and what I do is we often do spatchcocking because, like you guys, there's two of us here, and the chickens are way too big. So we spatchcock them and we put them on the smoker. Or what I've been doing is making, like, how they make the turkeys like a hotel breast where they cut the legs and the wings off. And then I just put that stuff in the fridge. So instead of having leftovers, you have a different seasoning. It's like a whole new meal.
Okay.
But the breasts cook really good and they stay really juicy on there.
Yeah, these have been, I've been able to get them into my cast iron pan. So it's in the oven in the cast iron.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. Nice
Yeah.
skin.
Nice.
Matt, I think you cooked one up that way this month, haven't you? I was trying to think of what you Didn't you
Oh yeah,
cast iron
couple
something?
times. My favorite is when we put it in the oven. Is don't put a cover on it, and you take the skin and you just find a little spot you can get in there, and you put just a little chunk of butter on each side of the breast, and then we oil it all up, flip it over so the breast is down, and then put 2 little pieces on the back, and then we season it. And if you put the season inside the cavity, for some reason I don't know if it's like the steam's in there or what, but it goes into the meat, and it's really good. That's my favorite. The kids devour the skin right away.
You get bored of it when you do it that way.
Yeah.
No, I was actually thinking of putting together mixing together some butter and like some thyme and garlic powder, and then rubbing that under the skin.
Lisa, we thought of you the other day when we made some orange chicken. Well, it wasn't orange chicken; it was orange pheasant. So that's something to think about. That was really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pheasants are good and they're pretty quick to raise.
Yeah. Well, I hunt them, so I didn't raise them, but I should. That'd be fun.
Yeah, you
They're
should.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Heather, I appreciate the offer of honey. I've got like I don't know what that is. It's a big
it's
jar.
huge.
A ham radio friend of mine has bees and gave me one of those because I brought down all sorts of seeds for him last year, and I'm good on honey. I'm really good on honey, and it's incredible. So, Steph, Chris, what obstacles? You said it's been a good test.
It's been really good. I mean, we've been kind of eating this way for many years. Well, most of you know, I mean, we can a ridiculous amount of food. We grow thousands of pounds of food and put it away. So variety is not really an issue. I mean, it's been wonderful on that side of things. And we keep putting stuff in the pantry because we kind of operate on that mindset. This actually has to make it until August when we harvest again. So it's kind of like, I think that's one of the challenges. Like, don't eat all the favorite stuff first because it's got to make it. And I think cutting out bread has kind of been a big decision. Because we love homemade sourdough bread and all that. But it was amazing when you started tracking how much flour you were using, how much it was going.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge in some ways, but it's one of those things, right? I think it was already said, even if you have the land and you have an army of kids that are able to do the work for you.
Why are you saying kids?
Well, no.
What kind of place are you running?
Where I'm going with this is, even if you have those resources, there's always going to be things like some of the spices, depending on where you are, the salts, the list can keep going. There's always going to be things that you never could do, ever, ever, ever. And I think that's where, again, we didn't walk into this with sort of, our eyes closed. We knew this stuff, but it's just forced it out there more, I guess, to have deeper conversation, just go down another level in the whole system of trying to figure out, can we change our diet? Not necessarily this year, because obviously it takes time to do this and to do the transition, but could we start priming in the future to change your diet to maybe get it so that you can get it, wishful thinking, but the $50 more months of the year?
Because we're not going to make it. I don't think we're going to make it.
But part of that, and we haven't actually really talked about it too much in any of the videos yet, but so going way back to December, we did buy, because we are the same as Lisa, we don't like things to get to that level that it's looking empty. So we did buy some things that honestly we thought by the end of January they would be used up, and they weren't. And so our first week we did have a few things that it's like, oh, these are going to expire if we don't use them. So we kind of made the choice, we're going to use them. And that's thrown us off a little bit. So we've kind of got, we're keeping track of a lot of things on different lists to see where we end up.
We kind of did the whole thing of, I think that's the other part I'm going to say is challenging for us, is keeping track. Like the week by week seems really hard. Like we just did at the first of the month, we took out a bag of flour and we wrote it down and then we're just going to see what's left at the end. And we took out a bag of this, things that we knew we were going to need and we couldn't produce them. And so it's really hard to kind of give a real accurate number at this point until we get to the end and go, well, we failed or we succeeded.
Well, I hope people don't think of it though as pass fail kind of thing.
No. But it's fun though.
Yeah, it is fun, but don't think of it as a failure. You know what? For me, we might end up going over. I hope not, but if we do, it's like, okay, then how do we fine tune it for another shot at
That's
this?
it.
It's like a continued learning experience, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's one of those things too. A lot of what we're talking about is things we knew, but we just never had the full push to do it.
We chose to ignore.
Well, it's very easy to do that, right? You can rationalize things. It's like, well, that's only a little bit of money. It's not a big deal. This is okay. I really like that. And on their own, each one of those things might be completely fine. But when you can start adding them up, right? And I think that's the whole thing with this challenge is you basically have to kind of say, okay, I really have to focus on what are these things that I can't produce or get that I'm going to need, and everything else has to go. It's almost like a diet in a way, right? Where it's like, if I'm going to do this, I have to make these changes and I have to keep them up, as opposed to, a week later going, well, I could just do this or I could just do that. Not really. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep, it does. And I think Lisa was talking protein, and that might be a common theme here. We were able to barter and trade and make sure we had all sorts of protein. It's kind of the supporting cast of characters that go with it. Ryan wants 3 things on his plate. I'd like something more than a hunk of chicken. So it's having enough of that supporting stuff. So
yeah. And I think the other thing too is like there's reasons why a lot of us started this lifestyle, right? And there's a reality to it. And like I was telling you, Rich, the other day, if the world blew up tomorrow, do I feel confident in what I have? Yeah, because I feel like I can sustain us. Do I feel like we would live a healthy lifestyle? No. But it would be survival, and we know how to eat for survival, but we wouldn't worry about anything else at that point. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. It does. Lisa, bees and seeds. Lisa, where are you seeing the shortfalls?
I think so far I've been okay with the food. And I think I'll have enough of whatever I have to get through the challenge. For me, it's been more of a time issue. Especially when this started, I ended up sick. And so to not feel well and have to, do this was very much a stretch. I'm usually out of my house by 5:30 in the morning, and it was taking me like an extra hour just because I was so worn out, just so tired and feeling bad. So now that I'm feeling better, it's a lot easier, but it's still the time thing that I'm getting used to. Instead of having my chia pudding in the fridge for the week, I'm actually cooking food. So today, actually, I changed it and I cooked a bunch for the whole week. So that, I'm adjusting as I go, but I would say it's been more of a time issue.
And a planning, some of that. I just wanted to put this up while it flashed across. Heather at Sage and Stone made a great point in one of her videos that, some of us have cash from the farm. We're selling eggs on a weekly basis. If you use that to roll into, does that count in the $50 challenge? And I hadn't figured that in. We've got a steady income of egg money. If we bought groceries with it, would that count? Or they're selling goats and other products. So we might need to figure that in, but there's definitely other sources of income here. Just wanted to click on that. Matt and Sarah, you've got the biggest group. Do you have something, Chris?
Oh, I was just going to interrupt the progression here because you brought that up about the income generation. And this is just, my mindset, I guess, for right or for wrong. But the one thing that this is really hard too, because for the animal part of things, right? We've most of us have produced animal products, whether it's eggs, meat, etc. But there's still a cost associated with that.
Yep.
So I think, and this is kind of, again, just from doing this for so long, until you can get the cost of raising those animals down to zero with that income, then I don't know if you can leverage it against it in a way. Because
you're right. I think if you know your costs, and you know we're down at the point where we know what our costs are for eggs and we know what our profit is each week.
Mhm.
So what I was thinking, I guess maybe I didn't say it the right way, but I know what our profit is. If I took that profit each week,
yes.
is that a part of it? So then,
that would be, that makes sense, right? And
Yeah.
Right.
the hard part with that is there's so many different ways that can transcend. Everybody's got different models and what have you.
no, I get it, and that might be something. If we do this again, there might be different models or different subgroups within the $50 challenge, and how you measure it and how you go
Well, it's
about
kind of
it.
one of those things. Like if we had to write down how much it cost us to feed our animals, we'd be in trouble.
Well, that's an interesting challenge as well. I've tried to do it several times, and it seems like it's different every time. So,
Mhm.
Matt and Sarah, sorry we jumped on a tangent there. What's been your challenges?
I know yours.
He knows mine, so therefore it's our whole family's. It's very completely. We definitely knew our challenges going in, and doing things like this over the years, I think, do help fix those little gaps, or you can. A few years ago, we realized that we were just buying so many seasonings and herbs, and so we started growing herbs. And now we're realizing we don't need nearly as many things in that sense. But dairy is a huge one for us. And I did try going and buying the raw milk route for a while, and it wasn't feasible financially, and I had to drive way too far
Yeah.
to be able to
Too
do it
much
often. So that just wasn't really like a permanent solution to that. We could have a cow, but it wouldn't have a good life.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, well, you kind of have to weigh it all.
And I want to point out too, like if you're growing a garden and you think like herbs are just too much, I thought the same thing when she wanted to take on herbs. I was like, you're nuts. Like we have enough stuff going on. Why take something else on? But you literally, if you stop and think about it, all the herbs, you're basically letting them die and you're taking them for the most part. So, or you're cutting them before they're dead and then you hang them and dry them. So it's really not a lot of work, and you can fill up a mason jar pretty quick and it lasts you quite a long time. The one thing that I noticed that I really want to focus on, and we've been saving for quite a long time to get a different house with a little bit more land, and we're okay with buying certain things, but I really want to focus on, when we get the more land, I want to focus on the animal food to bring down the costs for the meat, and then start that way and start selling and so forth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something I think too we've been doing maybe more because of the challenge is just acknowledging more of the substitutions we want to make and we can make that we don't always. Like normally we can budget for butter and sugar and things like that, but I'm like, we have lard, we have honey, why aren't we using those? So we're finding we're using those things a little more just because of the challenge, just because we're acknowledging it. And
we also let the greenhouse go this year, and we didn't plant a lot more greens like we normally do. So I think we made a plan this year to make sure that we're basically in season with lettuce all year and then through the winter now for next year.
Or a variety of greens, so we don't just have spinach.
Yeah. Variety, for me, variety is the key to it. And we're finding a few things here. We're down to our 2 last potatoes, and we've got some downstairs that are sprouting. So we're set up for hopefully planting, but the ones that are usable, we're down to 2. And you mentioned herbs. Holly's mentioned having an herb garden this year, and I'm going to make sure she's got it, because we just don't have that right now. There's just not that stuff. If you took the time last year, Matt and Sarah, to do that, God bless you, because we didn't. And
when you go and take your herbs and you season the chicken or whatever, it's like when you sit down and look at your plate, you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. We're never going to be 100%, but it's still cool to be that close. When you think back when we first started, 10 years ago, we were like, could this even be possible? You start by making salsa or something,
Yep, we had a salsa garden. That's how we started. And that's what we thought
And
people
zucchini.
did. I don't think we realized anybody grew anything other than salsa ingredients and zucchini.
Except my mom. She had a huge garden. But
well, it's just pointing out too, because to help use up some of the garden and for some income, we do a CSA, and we're looking to expand that. And now I'm like, well, can we do enough for the CSA and expand so we have more? Because that potatoes just jumped out at me, like we don't have enough potatoes. Or could we do something downstairs? We've got all the lighting. We don't have a greenhouse, so how could we use the lighting that's downstairs that we use for getting plants going to grow, like you said, some lettuce or something to give us some variety? And someone's maybe mentioned that a few times to me. So
hydroponics.
You guys just need a pot in your south-facing window.
Microgreens are great in the winter too. Something like that.
Yeah.
Just in the window, I want to make one comment, because we've gotten so much hassle. If people notice, our Christmas trees are down, and now you see that it is just bare corners until we get chicks in or have
Put the tables up
put the tables up for the pots. Okay, I hope everybody's happy that our Christmas trees are down and it's barren in our house now. Thank you.
I bought solar lights for my chicken run for all year.
Good. Yeah, we need something here.
Valentine tree.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we should just leave the darn thing up all year till the chicks come, and we got our chicks on order, so we're happy there. What I saw Hudson jumped in here, growing with Hudson. Sorry, I've missed a couple people. If I missed you, I'm trying to watch for that. It sounds like, obviously the 5 of us don't have room for a cow. What are the other animals that we're missing, or what things is just a total fall down on? Has anybody got something that your plan fell apart, or something isn't working really well?
I really miss bacon. we decided not to keep with pigs, and so since we don't raise pork, we don't eat pork. And oh boy, I miss bacon.
I wish you were closer.
Yeah.
We could trade. We have lots of other stuff. Just
I
no
know.
bacon.
Probably
are
the
you
only
down to?
other thing was last year we were really hoping to milk the sheep, but milking sheep is not exactly the same as goats or even cows to a degree. It's a little bit more of if you don't have
They're a little more
facility
wild.
that you can kind of lead them into it easily. Like when we had the goats, that was easy. They got into the routine, and you just opened the door, and the girl came out, and she went up on the stand by herself, and it was all good. But the sheep aren't like that.
Sheep don't do that. I've never had sheep, so they don't do that.
So no, our sheep don't, I should say. We think they will eventually get into the routine, but to make it feasible.
Watch this space, see what happens.
Yeah, so we didn't get the infrastructure set up to make that happen last year.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I think we've still got 2 pounds of bacon
Okay,
in
we're
the freezer,
we're
so
good.
we're good.
We'll
And
get
we
it.
have ground pork too. So
We've got Annette just said seafood. We've got Holly went fishing with her dad this summer, so we've got still some fish. I've got rabbit that was out pestering my garden and fell prey to the 22. There's a couple bunnies out there that are taunting me through the window, so if I can find them, we'll have even more.
Ryan got a trout yesterday.
nice.
We're good.
Yeah, we went fishing, and it's funny because I'm not a fan of trout. I would rather have it in like a fish chowder than the way he prepares it, but I ate it. I'd rather have our bacon.
Well, Lisa, is there something that's really fallen down for you, or something you really miss?
I was thinking about that. I usually use a ton of mushrooms,
Mm.
and I don't eat a lot of meat. But I do eat a lot of, I eat a lot of like meat substitute, like mushrooms, and I like tofu. You guys are all big meat eaters, I know, but I can't do it. I can't kill them. I can't even golf
That's
with
fine.
it. So I mean, I can't even grow soybeans here. It's not warm enough. But the mushrooms, my daughter's been bugging me to do mushrooms. But there's always that input of the spores, and I'm not sure that that's really sustainable. But it would be fun just to try it.
Yeah, that's the hard part with the mushroom culture.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people that do it and they're really successful, and then others that you see their first video and then there's never a follow-up video. So I'm assuming it didn't work really well.
Yeah.
What else are we missing?
What about Matt and Sarah? Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you missing? What are the kids really complaining about? That, hey, Mom, what about this? Or
They really don't complain. They know that this is our lifestyle.
This
They
is
just
what
go
we're
with it.
eating.
I would say chips. Like, I knew those 2 little bags of chips were left in there, but that's my downfall is chips and salsa or like flavored chips. And we aren't buying any of it. So that's
Well,
tough
I
on
did
me.
buy a bag of chips, but somebody was coming over and I just needed something to entertain. And
Yeah.
We're gonna cherish that one and hold on to it.
I know. Oh.
yeah, the trying to get away from some of those. You can't separate yourself from real life. You know, someone comes over, you got to have something. And my daughter's birthday's at the end of the month. Well, honey, we can't go out for dinner. We can't have dinner because it's $50 February.
Right.
And I'm honestly, I'm going to consider that off the side. You know what? My daughter's birthday is my daughter's birthday. And we're going to have a meal. I'm going to have a cheeseburger or something, or pizza or whatever she decides. And that's off. I don't know. There's always going to be those things that come up.
That was like our one catastrophe day.
Oh.
We had,
And I will admit, I did not count it. I reached up to grab, we keep all of our spices in jars above my area where I work. I had 2 pounds of lamb meat out for burgers. I had a block of butter. I was doing twice baked potatoes with grated cheese. It was amazing. And as I grabbed the salt, it smashed down and on top of everything.
the bottom
and
came out of it.
We just all went into a dumpster, and I'm like, I am not counting this.
No.
You didn't need it.
Yeah.
My heart hurts for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, you're kidding. Especially with butter being $5 a block. It's like,
Yeah.
Just the twice baked potatoes, the time.
I know. They were all stuffed with everything, and they had.
Oh.
Anyways, that was a bad day. I almost went, and we almost just were like, let's go to McDonald's at this point. It was so close. It was so close.
We didn't.
We didn't, but
Because of me.
because of you, yes. James was like, but I love lamb burgers. Let's just get out more meat and do it again. So we
There you
did.
go.
We haven't had a disaster like that. I was just thinking
No.
there's been a couple of squash that, we're trying to save up for February. So we put everything, and I've got a bunch of squash downstairs. You know what? I've gotten into the savor mode so much that I didn't eat some of the squash when they were good. And I pulled one today and it was moldy. It's like, well, okay, that's going in the worm bin, but it's like, what a wasted squash, and you're saving it. You need to be using this stuff up, have enough to use it up all the time and use them instead of saving for a month.
Yeah. And honestly, for me, the hardest part has been with going to work and lunches. And like tomorrow I have training at my second job. So I don't have time to come home, get something to eat, and then go back. I have to stay in town. So now it's trying to find or bring something with again for a second meal or just to tide me over till I can get home. and that's
Yeah.
just been
It's a planning thing. Like Sue or Lisa was saying, it's a planning thing. And before it's just easy. Oh, just you got to stay in town for that. Grab a burger quick. But now you got to cook for 3 meals or
mhm.
be prepared ahead of time.
When the kids' lunches we find a little difficult for school
Yeah.
because it's sandwiches, some type of easy snack.
The best way to do it, if you can, depending on the meal, is to plan for a little bit of leftovers.
Send a
if
hot
it's
lunch,
something
but-
that you can send with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, our kids are taking breakfast for lunch tomorrow because that's what we had.
We gave our kids cooked carrots once with pepper on it, and one of the helpers in the lunchroom thought it were moldy carrots and told them to throw it away. And the kids looked at her like she was nuts and said, "There's pepper on it." And she's like, "Who puts peppers on your carrots?"
Oh boy.
There has been some interesting, and I love our eggs from our girls. So, but today it was like Holly was making homemade pancakes and stuff. I'm like, no eggs. I'll have those for another meal so we can
Sourdough discard pancakes.
Oh no.
trying to keep that all going.
Speaking of eggs, our neighbors took a vacation for 2 weeks, and we got another week left, and we get 8 to 10 dozen a day just from their chickens.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
using that to barter to get hay for the pigs.
Smart.
You wanted some more money for the new home. I think you just found the store.
Right?
Wow, 8 to 10. I mean, we get like 3
Wow.
dozen, and our neighbor will watch when we go on vacation. And so she's, all of a sudden there's 3+ dozen eggs coming at her, and I'm like, if you want to sell them all, do whatever you want. Oh, they're in our entryway, stacked up and in the right boxes and stuff. But I can't imagine 10 dozen.
Yeah.
No,
That's a lot.
no.
They have a lot of chickens. It's a lot. It takes 40 minutes to just do chores over there.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
good neighbors. You guys are good neighbors for them. Wow.
They help us too.
Yeah, when we go on vacation, when they're watching our chickens with the chicken tractors and everything, we give them whole chicken, or we can some chicken and give it to them. So they're not cooks, so they like easy meals. So if you give them canned chicken, oh yeah, they love it.
Well, I think we've also established that in their lives, we're the people who will make sure nothing goes to waste.
Yeah,
So it seems like, hey, I had this half of bag of cheese and I'm going on vacation. And I'm like, thanks. Like, you can freeze cheese. Like, it's awesome.
And that's why if we could find that milk source, I would love to make cheese. Glenn at the Cow Emporium had a video about making cheese, and it just reminded me that Holly's got me a cheese kit a couple of years ago, and we just never have put it to use.
Yeah.
And this would have been a perfect time to add some more variety. Lisa, I think you said you couldn't live without cheese. I love cheese, and we haven't had cheese, so
oh,
Yeah.
same with Sarah.
I miss that.
Yeah.
We still have cheese. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still gonna buy cheese no matter what. That or sour cream.
Yeah, I think I bought sour cream
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
I think our whole budget is dairy.
Pretty
Yeah,
butter.
pretty much.
It's butter, milk, sour cream, yogurt. It's all
Mhm.
cheese.
Yeah.
We don't use too much butter now that we
I
did.
also bought cream cheese.
The truth
We
comes
got-
out.
We use a lot of lard. We've been using a lot
Yeah.
of lard. Now that
That's
we
actually
rendered it down,
something-
it took a while for us to get it rendered down, but
That's actually something we've been doing a bit more too with the geese in particular, but we've even used it out of the lamb.
yeah.
And,
I even made a lard grilled cheese sandwich. It was amazing. Never done that before. $50
tried
February
that.
has pushed me to my max. My arteries may not appreciate it, but it was good.
it was the goose lard.
I know.
So that's good lard.
So just a show of hands. I was thinking about the instruments to prepare for a challenge like this. Who's got a freeze dryer and uses it?
We
Just
don't.
two of you?
love it.
Okay.
Releases.
And then I mean, we dehydrate a bunch of stuff. Pickle. I'm trying to think of all the other.
Yeah. We've got pressure canner. We can water bath can. We got, yeah.
I'm trying to think. Is there anything that, as far as tools, if people are watching and thinking about this, I know there's been some newer folks that have been thinking about how to become more self-sufficient or put away. What are the other tools that would be great?
Fermenting.
Many freezers.
The fermenting lids, the sprouting jars. That's something we started this for $50 February was sprouting. We'd done it for the livestock, but never for ourselves. So that was new.
Matt, you know what? You're right. Matt said freezers. We bought a big freezer last spring,
Yep.
knowing that this was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it's packed. We're working it down. You've got another one, Lisa, or?
I've got 3. I was pointing at them. I've got one right behind me, and then I've got 2 there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one smaller one and one really big one.
Yeah, we bought them on wheels, and we all have them in this location, so that way if something happened and the generator needs to come out, they can all be hooked up. I was gonna say a smokehouse.
Ooh,
We
that's
really
good
need a
one, yeah.
smokehouse because we can't get butcher dates here anymore. We can't even find feeder pigs because since I've decided to keep Norman and screwed that plan up, we are looking for feeder pigs because we're going to be out of pork soon. And so that has really changed things, and all the people who we have contacted before who had feeder pigs, they're 3 times the price and they don't have any. So, I mean, we paid $60 for a feeder pig in 2020, and apparently now they want $150.
$150 a
We
piece.
paid $150.
Yeah. So I really picked a bad year to keep a piglet.
What that's not a cooney. That's just a feeder pig.
Yeah, commercial hog, like
Okay.
or a cross. Like we had Mangalitsa Duroc in Berkshire, and Mangalitsa are similar to the Coonies in that they're a heritage breed. So there was a lot of fat on their meat, and it was really good meat and juicy. But we are looking for a feeder pig. We may raise 1 or 2 and put them in the freezer to buy us another 2 years until we have a grown out Cooney again.
Yep. See, we're thinking the same thing. We'll have 2 Coonies ready for this fall, but we also have people that are like, hey, I would like to buy a pig from you. So because we're getting a lot more people are noticing how we're raising our animals, and they're liking it, like so the flavor of the meat and everything. So now we're kind of contemplating on raising 3 more, but
we need feeder pigs to get through because we'll run out of pork long before we have.
The prices are so crazy that I'm like, I don't think I want to do it. $150 a pig. I mean, it should have came down by now.
I mean, we were really tracking to find that. That was
a struggle
last spring.
Yeah. I think what we may do is raise the litters that we have this year. We plan to raise 2 last year. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we ended up with 1, and then it just changed from there. But that was why we had raised in 2020 the Mangalitsas, and that was because we knew that it would take time to get to the breeding point, and then a year to have the Cooney piglets grow up. So it takes time, and that's the thing with the Coonies is you get that smaller amount of pork, even though it's more flavorful, it's very small, and it just takes so much longer to turn around. Whereas, and you guys do winter, so it's like feeding animals over the winter is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And so
we found now with my brother, he has them also. So it's kind of good because we can share a boar. And then once we get them all bred and get the stuff, once you get the ball rolling with them, then you constantly are in pork, but it just takes that initial time to get the ball rolling, right? So we found out, like, we feed bales of hay, just the sheet, here and there, and seeing what they're eating and stuff. My brother, he has all round bales because he also grows out a cow for us every year. And he puts a round bale in there, and the pigs will actually go to that round bale, and they'll start eating the inside out, and they'll make like a little nest in there. And they'll lay down and just eat from the sides all the way out. So we're going to try to get round bales for this next winter to help get through the winter with them.
All of it's learning.
That's
There's
a really
so
good
much
point.
always to learn.
I know.
I do have to say, too, is if anyone's ever scared of raising a pig, don't be. She pushed me for 4 years, and finally I said okay, and it was the easiest and I should have said yes 4 years ago.
Yeah, you just have to be aware and be careful. Like right now,
Yep.
I know our older boar, he's got this thing for me.
Oh.
And I don't know if he smells the females on me when I walk in there, but I have to be very mindful because he's getting his tusks now. And so he's like pushing me a little more, and not in a nasty way, but I think it's because he's excited to see me.
Yeah. They like to rub up against you. They're friendly. And
Yeah.
they don't realize how like much power they have.
Exactly.
Even as small, I mean, how big are they before they're moving you around, Matt?
Oh, they push me around already.
Yeah. And they're what, knee high?
Yeah,
About knee high.
probably
I mean?
knee high.
Okay.
So-
Well, I mean, they don't grow very tall.
But the other feeder pigs we did, like if you're in there too long, they will like try to see what your pants taste like, you know. So you have to watch what you do.
Yeah. The good thing about pigs is they're smart enough to learn, because like Grant will bite my toes all the time. And I will like pull my foot away and tell him no. And he'll listen.
Yeah.
He'll listen after a while. You know, I'll sit there and say, Grant, no. And he'll stop. But, you know, feeder pigs you usually don't get as attached to.
No.
Right.
No.
Whereas I have Norman sitting for dinner now.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I got Belle. You go out there and start rubbing her back, and she'll lock up, and then just slowly tip over. You get rubber belly.
So we got just a couple of minutes left here. I just want to respect everyone's time. What I don't know, is there something you learned? We're halfway through, or something that, you know, if there's people watching, is there something you've picked up the first half of the month that you want to pass on? Other than don't drop salt on your lamb
Your
meat while you're
dinner.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is for people thinking about, it's amazing how much money you can save. It really is. I mean, just before we started tonight, I went back and looked, because this is our third year keeping track of how much we spend on food. And in 2021, we'd spent $323 in February. In 2022, we spent $244 in February. And this is going to be interesting because right now we're at $9.26.
Nice.
That's
So
awesome.
I think that's one of the things.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the be all and end all, but it's amazing how much you can push yourself to use what you have.
Yep.
Well, I still think it's good to track it.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
if you're tracking the expense, then it makes you think about what you're eating, and you know, we're all doing it, so it's kind of preaching to the converted. But if you were just trying it and you weren't doing this, then it really makes you think about.
Well, and that's where I'm really interested with Lisa's tabulations, because she's really getting down to the salt and pepper and oil and some of the things that I'm kind of rounding the whole challenge. So for Lisa to really dig down deep, and then I can go, yep, if I add that in and that in, okay. So Lisa, thank you for doing what you're doing, because that's been so good to watch.
Another thing, I think too, like for far as saving money, if you want to do something like this, everyone's saying, you know, how much oil and butter cost. You can go to a butcher shop and ask them for some pig lard, and you're talking, you spread that out, like how much you can get for a bag over a year. It's, you know, pennies for a couple of jars. You know, it's really a way to save some money, big time. And some butchers will just give you the fat too.
The one thing I want to make a point of is, I know we're talking dollars. It's a dollar amount is in the challenge itself. And we've been on the farm here now 4 years. And so really gardening hard for 4 years, it's, in my mind, it is the dollars. We're saving some dollars and really challenging ourselves. But the flavors, the different foods and combinations, and all the incredible food that we're producing ourselves, that's really a big point for me. And I'm hoping others will jump in the challenge if we do it again, just for that reason. What can I grow myself to really have some tasty
I
food?
agree. We talk about it all the time that at this point, I don't think that I could eat stuff. I know that Hickory Croft, you guys were talking about like, oh, we could drop it all and go to McDonald's. Well, I got to tell you, it had been years since we went to McDonald's, and I went to McDonald's and I was like, this is awful.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not I'm not one of those people who's like, I'm never eating there. I like a good Culver's sandwich, but McDonald's was horrible. But one of the things that I think is like Lisa was talking about, now she doesn't eat meat, and two things come to mind. For her, that's got to be a real challenge, because I know she said, well, she doesn't eat meat, and then it's almost easier to raise meat sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other part of the challenge that I think about is like you guys were talking about, we still have to feed our animals. That's not included in our cost.
Yep.
I mean, I just bought a pallet of pig feed, or ordered a pallet of pig feed at $1,000. The same bags would have been $14 in 2020. They're
Yep.
$6 more a bag, for nothing special. And I mean, so if you think about it, you look at self-sustainability. Well, until you can raise the grain to be able to feed your animals and give them the minerals that they need, right? We're still going to be over the budget, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, and that's a weird thing with us that we've made, because like you said at the beginning, we've kind of tried everything. We've had cows, we've had goats, we've had sheep, we've had multiple different kinds of pigs, we've bred pigs, we've had all sorts of different poultry, etc. And the things that we've settled on, some of the decision, like you say, we like the pig, like the pork, but we
Couldn't produce their food.
know where we are.
Oh.
We couldn't do that. The cows were similar, and that's so you can really go down. You can start from one place and you can go really far with it, and it's really going to change depending on what the resources in the area you live in and everything else. But
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
Good point.
I don't know
if
if
we had a
anybody's
longer
got,
growing season, we could do a lot more.
and that's our thing, is just, we've got a 4-month, we are June 1st to October 1st is kind of our thing, unless, we get a greenhouse or extend it inside something. We've got 4 months here.
But even with the greenhouse, Rich, you still, like, everyone thinks you can extend it for so long. You really can't, because when you get a certain frost, those tomato plants, done.
It's done. Okay.
You get to that certain level, but you got spinach, kale, certain lettuces.
Party things.
They're winter greens that will go through the winter. Like, we still have spinach that they look just fine and we're doing great all winter, and they went to the -20s. But it's you got to balance that greens too and figure out what works.
Yep.
I had spinach and Swiss chard that it was snowing outside the greenhouse one year, and it was beautiful. We had a more severe frost, and they were all dead.
Yeah.
And they were in the greenhouse. So it's true. A lot of people think that you can do that, but you really can. I had the greenhouse when I started last year, and I had to cover everything every night while it was out there. So now I'm going to try that winter jug sowing with it inside the greenhouse and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Or it's
Done
not
that for
as
onions.
pretty.
That works
Yeah.
well.
What?
Lisa, when do you get to start planting? You're California. When do you get to start planting?
Well, my problem is it's so wet here. So nothing really dries out until I'd love to get everything in by Mother's Day. But some years we can't. It's just too wet. And I don't get heat here. So I have a really hard time growing tomatoes in warm season squash and things. So like our average highs in the summer are in the high 60s. We literally don't get heat here.
Okay.
So there's years that I don't get to start till June, but I like to get it in by Mother's Day.
So are you at altitude? Is that why it's cooler out there? Like Lisa,
Oh,
the other Lisa's.
I'm right on the border of Oregon and
Okay.
right on the coast. And so I just have this little coastal cool climate.
Little micro.
I am zone E because we don't get real cold here either,
Okay. Huh. interesting. Everybody's got a different spin on when they're doing that. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. I want to end on time, so we're not pulling you there. I don't know. Anybody got a score of the game? Is the game done, or does the game outlast us here? I don't know. We haven't watched the thing, so it just went forever. But thank you all. This challenge is so fun. I'll put we'll do another video this week, and I'll put everybody again that's participating in the challenge. It's fun to watch everybody's videos because there's probably 30 or 40 people doing it, and there's probably 30 or 40 different spins on the challenge. And there's some great little takeaways and little nuggets from everybody in what they're doing or how they prep for it, and that's been great. So thank you for sharing what's worked, what hasn't worked, and all the salt you've dropped on the labs.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you very much. It's great.
Nice to meet everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Bye.
Everybody have a great week. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.